Hi there. This video is going to show you how to flick the Kree'arra minions and the boss at the same time. And it's not a method I've seen before, but as you can see in the background, it does work and it lets you avoid a lot of the damage. I'm very sorry for the quality of it. It's the first time I've done anything like this, so it won't be great. To show that the method's at all worth doing, I'm going to put on screen the amount of damage you're expected to take with a few different methods. One of the main methods is shield flicking at Kree'arra, where you put a shield on for 3 out of 4 ticks and just have your bofa on for the 1 tick you attack. Using a crystal shield or an Ellie, this brings down your expected damage taken in a kill from 121 to either 110 or 87. The best possible method involves shield flicking and stepping under the boss every 4 ticks to slow its attack cycle down, but this still caps out at 80 damage taken per kill. Using the prayer flicking method shown in this video, you can lower that number down to 70. In addition to this, you can also save about a third the prayer points compared to shield flicking. And this means that doing Kree'arra off task with a bofa becomes pretty sustainable, and you can actually get sort of 30 kill trips, or even more if you get a bit lucky with supply drops. If you want to skip straight to the action, the theory behind the method starts at about 2 minutes, and setting up the method starts at about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I found it a little bit difficult to think of a way to structure this video logically, so I've just taken a chronological approach, and I'm going to follow how I discovered this method. So first I'm going to look at the minion flick cycle, and then we're going to look at how Kree'arra attacks every 3 ticks, and how you can flick against that using some visual cues that the boss puts out. Then we're going to put those 2 different sections together and come up with one flicking cycle to act against damage from both the boss and the minions as much as possible. So the clip in the background is showing me flicking the minions after the Kree'arra boss has died. Now you can notice that the minions are already attacking on different ticks, and this isn't a coincidence. If you stand in the northeast corner of the room at the start of every kill, then not only can Kree'arra not push you around, the minions will also automatically be attacking on different ticks by the time the melee reaches you. I think this part of the video is really important because the cycle that the minions end up in as soon as the kill starts is the cycle they stay in for the entire kill. And when you come to flick the minions and the boss, they'll still be in this cycle the entire time. Before we look precisely at when Kree'arra attacks, let's start by saying that we know it attacks every 3 ticks. So let's just overlay Kree'arra's attacks onto our minion flick pattern straight away. Then what we can do is combine these flicks into one flick. What we want to do is prioritize Kree'arra's attack whenever it overlaps with a minion attack. If we do this and fill in any gaps with range prayers, then we end up with this flicking cycle. Now that we've got one cycle to flick against the boss and the minions, this is the cycle that we will pray flick the entire kill. It's not as complicated as it looks, I think. It's basically split into 3 5-tick long sections. The first 5 ticks, you just pray range the whole time, and then for the next 2 sections of 5 ticks, you flick against the minion attacks on the ticks that they attack, and then put range prayer on for the rest of the time. 30 seconds of video is just an example clip showing me following the flick pattern that we just came up with. You can see that I'm taking not a lot of damage, but I still do take some, either from Kree'arra's mage attacks or the 1 in 3 minion attacks that you're unable to avoid. It's quite nice seeing the method in action, but what's difficult about the method really is setting it up. It's knowing when the cycle starts and knowing what visual cues the boss and the minions put out for you to know where you are in the cycle. The next few bits of the video are going to talk about recognizing where you are in the cycle, how to start flicking immediately after you've recognized that you are in the cycle. Looking back at how we came up with the flick pattern, we can see that on the first tick of the 15-tick cycle, we want to pray both mage and range against the mage minion and against Kree'arra. Kree'arra deals more damage, so that wins, and we're meant to pray range for the first tick. It's quite difficult to know when you're meant to pray range against Kree'arra though. So the next clip shows an example of me flicking just Kree'arra on its own. Now in the attack bar, we just have Kree'arra's attack showing, and you can see that every 3 ticks we're going to put the range prayer on. You can see that my prayers are in time with the animation, and if you look at Kree'arra, I've highlighted the tornado coming out the front of it. A really important visual cue for when you need to put your range prayer on is when you see the tornado come out the front of Kree'arra in exactly the position it's in there. Hopefully this clip gives you confidence that you can just range for the 1 and 3 ticks you need to against Kree'arra, and it should help you understand the timing. If we look back, we can see that on the flick cycle that we came up with, we want to pray range on tick 1. This means that we expect to see a tornado come out the front of Kree'arra on tick 1 as well. Now, just because you see a tornado doesn't mean that you're on tick 1. You're going to see a tornado every 3 ticks, so you could be on tick 4, 7, 10, or 13 in the cycle as well. So we need to look for something more. On tick 2, we should see the major attack us. That's because on tick 1 we wanted to pray mage against it, but were forced to pray range by Kree'arra's attack. So on tick 2, we should see an animation from the major as well. If we look out for these 2 things in consecutive ticks, a tornado on the first tick and the major's attack animation on the second tick, then we know that we're on tick 1 and 2 of the cycle. We can pray range for the next 3 ticks and then start flicking the minions. I'm going to let this clip run, and while it's going on, I still will have the highlighted tornadoes and major attacks on tick 1 and 2 of the cycle. So when you get to tick 15 of the cycle and it resets back to 5 ticks of praying range, you can look out for that as a sort of indicator that you're still in cycle, or you can use it on any of the example clips in the video to help you practice it yourself. So I'm just going to let the clip run for a bit so you can see the method in action. So that's the method in full. Essentially, it's the same 15 tick long cycle over and over again. 5 ticks of range, and then 5 ticks of flicking to the minion for the 1 tick that you have to. To know how to get into cycle, you want to look out for 2 things. Tornado from Kree'arra, and then you want to look out for the major doing its attack animation, the tick immediately after that. Once that happens, you wait 3 ticks, praying range, and then you can start flicking the major and the meleeer for the 1 tick that you have to, and flicking back to your range prayer in the time in between. This 15 tick cycle repeats for the whole kill. Once the boss is dead, the cycle continues, but you no longer need to pray range for 5 ticks. You can flick the minions in that 5 tick period as well. In the background, you can see me doing the method for a couple of kills in a row, and there's a few things you'll notice in the video. The first thing is eating food during the kill. Luckily, you've got 5 ticks in a row where you just pray range the whole time. This is a pretty perfect time to eat food. One thing you need to be really careful of is if you eat food, you need to click on Kree'arra in the same tick. Otherwise, its attack is going to be delayed a tick possibly if it chooses to path towards you, and then the cycle will need resetting up again. If that happens, just look out for those same 2 things. Look out for a tornado, followed by a mage attack, and then start the cycle again from tick 2. The next thing, which is quite important for the method more generally, is procedure and how you approach kills. You should be able to start every kill with 99 hit points, as well as 4 peaches from using the Bones to Peaches tabs. This means you've got over 130 hit points when you start a kill, and you're only expected to take 70 hit points worth of damage. In general, this means that you won't have to eat for about half your kills, and you will have to eat for others. Just due to the nature of chance, some kills will be very bad and some will be very good. But on average, the food that you're able to save on the good kills is enough to help you on the kills where you take a lot of damage in a row. What you'll see on the next kill is a way to save about 1/3 of your prayer points as well, which really makes this method quite a lot better than shield flicking methods and chinning methods. So you've got 6 ticks in a row where you can pray range. You've got the 5 from that initial 5 tick cycle, but at the end of the 3rd cycle you're also praying range. This means that after you put on your melee prayer for the second minion attack, you can go straight to your prayer orb and one tick flick to say prayer for 5 out of the 15 ticks in the cycle. Thanks for watching and listening, and let me know if I've explained something really poorly, and I'll do my best to amend it or talk to you in the comments and help explain things. I think it's a really strong method, and no matter what weapon you're using, even if it's a Shadow Tumican, it's a really nice way to save a lot of hit points on kills and make trips a bit comfier. Especially with a Shadow, your mage robes are so poor defensively that you can just have kills where you get hit a lot. And this is a nice way to just ensure that you're taking as little damage as possible